Hey, welcome everyone to another episode of Behavior Code Podcast. I'm joined by my guest, Patrick Grabb. He's joining us from Bali, and we'll get into it. I'm your host, Yogi Chris, PhD, founder of Ninth Limb Yoga, and this is the Behavior Code Podcast, where I'm interviewing graduates and alumni of the prestigious and elite Messengers Training Program. Also, prior to the Messengers Training Program, it was called Payout. This is a training program from my teacher, Arash, who is the foremost communicator and relationship expert on planet Earth. You can look him up yourself. He's top, number one. There ain't nobody even close to number two. Find number two. Send me a message if you think you got someone that's close to number two. And let me look at it. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there I haven't seen. There's billions of people on planet Earth, but there ain't nobody close from what I've found. So I find it hard to believe that there's really anybody close. So I'm interviewing Patrick. Patrick did the extension program version of the Messengers. This is a $5,000 training program, which right before we get into it, I mean, that should be known that that is a hefty investment in one's mental evolution, in their communication evolution. And that's a hard sell too, because just think of yourself. Like, where would you pay $5,000 to go and train to learn communication and mindset? I mean, you might go to like a Tony Robbins event or something, but that's going to be like in person, and there's a lot of clout there. There's, a lot of social proof from thousands of other people that are going, a huge reputation that's been going for decades. Outside of that, who are you going to do this with? And in steps Arash, a man with 5 beautiful girlfriends who just spend 10 seconds on the phone with them, and he's going to smooth out your mind in a way that you didn't know it was possible to do with just a few words. So Patrick, he made that investment. He saw the value, and he had been training with Arash for a few years, off and on, did some live sessions, via Skype or video sessions, bought some products, been on some programs. He knew it was the real deal. And so he came gung-ho into this program, and it's created some change. We'll get into what kind of changes maybe he's experienced. I'll let him describe it in his words. And so we have Patrick on right now. How's it going today, brother? I know it's, morning time in Bali right now. What's going on with you?
Yeah, it's morning time. It's 9 a.m. over here, Bali. I live in a place called Canggu, Bali. Canggu. It's a surfing town. And so I'm right here. I'm about to go finish up my tattoo. I'm getting a tattoo right now. I had it on Monday, and I woke up early because I'm going to go at 11 o'clock. I got to go do this, and get it done, finished up all the way to the top of the head. So it's like, It's going to be a hell of a day. I got to say, it's going to be a hell of a day, but it's awesome to get on here and to talk to you. I know we had two scheduled podcasts, so it was great to be able to make this and discuss what's going on with this. But yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm living. That's what time it is. And feeling good, man. Feeling great.
Let me ask you, is that like a big leap for you to for the tattoos to start to migrate up the neck and into the head? Like was that a decision, or you already knew that you were going to do that? You just were saving the money, or how did that decision come about?
Yeah, it's interesting actually, though. It's actually it came about as I had the idea as soon as I made the leap. I had a big change in my life. About almost 2 or 3 years ago, when I discovered Arash, I actually, this was a time in my life where I was going through some major changes where I was leaving a big position at a job that I worked for, just cold turkey, just saying, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Had this shift in reality, a big shift in reality. And I had also experimented with some psychedelics as well, and I had this vision. I had a vision about my life's philosophy that I now live by today. And so this tattoo is a symbol of the life philosophy that I now live by, that I've been living by for 3 years now, that I've kind of had in the back of my mind my whole life, but that I now actually live by and just have it all ironed out in the path that I go. So this is actually the symbol. I don't know if I'll get another one after this, because this has been a motherfucker to get, but it is the
Okay, we lost Patrick there. Might be coming back. In Bali, other side of the planet from where I am. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida right now. Okay, so it looks like they lost the reception. I'm sure Patrick will come back when the reception comes back, and we'll get into what it is he does, what change, the transformation from before even meeting Arash and then coming into Arash's training. Okay, cool. Yeah, I cut out. Would you let us know a little bit about what is this life philosophy that the tattoo is representing? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah. Down, man. I'm like, namaste. I had to go namaste for this internet connection, this Bali internet connection. It's an interesting thing, but it's all good. We use messengers. We use yoga. We overcome these things. But the life philosophy is this, man. So I back in 2015, I had several psychedelic experiences for the first time in my life, being 30 years old. Being 30 years old, I was I was at a point in my life where I'd been through some messed up relationships, where I'd quit my job, where I just realized that reality was not turning out to be what I thought it should be. And this is after going through a rough childhood of drugs, gangs, things like this, going to prison. But I had gotten over that and gone to a decade of being totally, doing exactly what they wanted me to do and be exactly who they wanted me to be, and getting a job. And I'm not going to disappoint my family. I'm not going to disappoint myself. I'm going to just do what they want me to do and I'm the kind of guy that I don't fit into like any mold, right? But I said, I'm not going back to that. I was surprised I had lived that long in my life, considering what I had done, considering the crazy life that I lived, so I was surprised that I made it that long. So I was like, you know what? Let's just try the normal thing. Let's try society out. Let's try doing what they want me to do and being what they want me to be. So I did that for 10 years. I just had a regular job and everything. So my 20s just passed me by. The 20s, the regular, whatever they want you to do. What's up, my brother? My brother's on there. He's got down with salmonella. My life was exactly what they wanted it to be for 10 years. I just drank. I just plugged in. I just worked every day. I worked 70 hours a week. I did all this stuff. And then, so it just flew by. My 20s just flew by. So from 20, 21, 22, I got out of prison. And then the 20s just went by like a flash. So 30s, I get into a relationship. And
gotta love that Bali connection. It's great anyway. I mean, it's incredible. I'm talking with a man across the planet right now on video. How cool is that? So that's quite a story. Thug life, going to prison, then getting the normie job and living the normie lifestyle, probably overworking himself, and then hits age 30 and gets into some fine relationship, probably with some fine women. So, okay, you're back. You're muted, so you'll need to unmute yourself. So we got through. You got out of prison, had a normie job, overworked yourself. Finally, around the age 30, you had a shift in philosophy, and that's kind of what this tattoo is representing. Is something that happened around the age 30. You pick it up from there.
Yeah. So got into a relationship, right? I'm thinking like the thing of like getting married and all this stuff, having kids, things like this, right? And it ends up being like the short version of it is the girl ends up being, she's married to a guy that's in prison. But little did I know this whole time that we were together, like my mind was seeing little things that led up to that, right? That was seeing little pieces of evidence. All the time I was seeing these pieces of evidence. But then that finally came to the head because she just like kicked my ass to the curb. When he got out of prison, she kicked my ass out of the curb, said, "Fuck you. I never loved you. This was all fake." And it was like such a blow to my reality. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, And then I looked back and I saw all the breadcrumbs. I saw all the evidence and stuff like that. And then I realized that my mind had made all of this shit up. In my mind, it had just created this fucking illusion. And I was like, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, how did I do this? And then that, because of that, all of the illusions in my life, I could suddenly see clear as daylight, bro. I could see like my job. I could see that I had fucking been wasting. I could see that this whole 10 years, this not wanting to be this wanting to fit in and not go back to prison, all this stuff, being scared little bitch. It was all a fake ass facade too, an illusion that I was creating.
Yeah.
And so I was like, it was blowing my mind, dude. And because of that, I had a nice job. I had all this stuff. I fucking immediately quit my job and went back and just quit cold turkey and started selling weed. Like, it was the only thing I could think of to do that I could but I also had a vision.
Were you in Bali at that time, or where were you?
No, I was at home. I was living in a condo. I had a paid off condo, right? But I had all this nice shit because of the job that I had. I was working in sales in the car business, so I had good money, but I was working. I was killing myself.
Yeah.
So I had trucks, I had motorcycle, I had cars, I had a boat. Dude, I ended up selling all of that shit to go fucking sell weed out of my condo like a fucking little crackhead, dude. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
But it was all good. I mean, that was one of the coolest times of my life. In that time, though, it was one of the most depressing times because I was a complete beta male, bro. A complete beta. Like, I had been her little bitch. I was going to live down there with her. I was going to do all this stuff, and no wonder, it's not all on her. It was on me too, man, because I had done that. I had given up my power,
And that's the truth of it, for sure. Like, every failed relationship, I mean, if you're going to be a man, you got to acknowledge that, man, I failed that relationship.
Exactly, man. Exactly. And that's exactly what happened, and it was like back to back with those relationships like that. But I ended up selling that weed and and at that time I ran into this girl, man. One day at this parade, I ran into this girl and she was like 18 years old at the time, right? And she said to me, we were all getting drunk. We're getting drunk all the time, getting drunk doing coke. And I'm a 30-year-old man at this point, bro. I'm 30 fucking years old. And this 18-year-old chick, she comes up to me and she says, she's like, I got some acid, bro. And I said, bullshit. You know what I mean? My whole life, 30 years old, I've always got ripped off. I've tried to buy acid, but I've always got ripped off. It's always bullshit. Never worked.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, whatever, bitch, you ain't got no acid. So then we were all fucking shit hammered and stuff like that. And then we end up going back to my condo. Everybody goes back to my condo and we're all fucked up. So we're finally like, yo, let's bust out the acid. So she busted out. I take it. 45 minutes in, it just ends up being every fucking thing I thought it could be, right? I was like, holy shit, this is like the first time I major shift. I ended up doing it all year long, like once a month. 24th of December, 2015, right before Christmas, I'm about to have to go to my parents' house. I have some of this acid left, right? And I have a friend that comes over. This dude comes out of nowhere. He comes over. And I take it, and I asked him if he wanted to take it. He said he was going to take it. He ended up not taking his, right? So I take it, and it ends up being a bad trip, as they say, because it's like one of the most powerful, intense. I'm by myself. This dude ends up being one of those kind of weirdo people that likes to fuck with you. You know what I mean? Like you've heard of these people. They want to fuck with you when you're tripping. Have you ever heard of that?
Well, yeah, I've been around that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was intense, brother. And it was one of the most intense pieces of my life. But in that trip, I realized I had a vision of the world being what the world was, because that's what anybody takes psychedelics for, right? They're trying to understand what reality actually is. I think, I know they're trying to have a good experience, but they're also trying to get answers when they go inside that. They're trying to get answers about reality. And that was no different. So in that vision, what came to me was that this is some sort of game of the gods that we're playing here. This is some sort of this is basically Grand Theft Auto, but of the future.
Right.
That we're plugged in right now, and along the process of being inside a game. So you can imagine it's kind of like if you watch Rick and Morty, the game Roy, when he plays Roy, when he goes in there, he lives a whole life and then he comes out. You know, it's kind of like if you imagine that you would be in a, if you imagine that like we have quantum computing, right, in the future, and we've already uploaded, everybody, humans already uploaded their consciousness, and we're already gods. What do we do? What do we do over and over again? What do we do for fun? If we're there, if we were only expected to live 100 years, but now we can live an infinite lives, what the fuck do we do? Well, we probably erase our memory and live lives over and over and over again, and try to make it as best as possible, try to make it as entertaining as possible, not too hard, not too rough. You know, you can play it on hard mode if you want, but you're not in a fucking, like, look at where you're at. You're not in a fucking, in a desert right now about to get your head cut off. You know what I mean? You're Yogi Chris, you happen to be somewhere. And what the guy that was fucking with me, it was the fucked up thing that he was kind of messing with my head when I was in there, because he was saying this stuff to me. He was saying, you're in a game. You're fucking, this is what it is. It was blowing my fucking mind, right? And it was really causing me to trip out. And then the dude just left. So I was stuck with this, trying to find my way out of this trip.
Yeah.
But he disappeared, and I've never seen that guy again. But he's the one that told me this. And so it made sense, because it's like this. If you were playing a game like this, it would make sense that somewhere along the line, you would have somebody come along and inside the game. And at one point, at a certain point, you would have somebody come at you and say, you know, maybe an NPC, some character come up to you and say, hey, motherfucker, you're in a fucking game right now. You're playing a fucking game. Stop taking it so goddamn fucking seriously and just live it.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what he did with me. You know, I could say it was a bad trip, but it was just a very intense trip. I ended up coming out of it and with this philosophy that I now use to teach my students with. Yeah. And bring them out of whatever the process. And I kind of use it in the same way, because, you know, you have to know how to, you don't just go into this thing, you know, 100% believing in anything. Right. So I guide through this process of dealing with this and how to live fearlessly and how to, you know, build a business. And I help men. This is what I do. I help men with this thing. So it's like, that's where it is. That's the philosophy, unplugging from the matrix while you're in the matrix. You know, playing this game the best of your ability, and, you know, playing it fearlessly and saying what's on your mind, you know, experiencing this thing as much as you possibly can. You know.
Well, we have about 10 minutes left. So at some point, okay, so you're going through this trip, you have this realization due to the assistance of this adversarial character who came into your life and, you know, was fucking with your mind, but it ended up triggering it in a way that, like, oh, this is all a game, and, you know, we're gods and this and that. And so you're representing this in this really badass, very loud tattoo. And at what point does Arash Bazar step into this story for you?
Yes, beautiful. Yeah, so Arash is you know, I still play this game as if it's not, sometimes it's halfway I play this game as if it's not a game, you know? So that's what you got to do. You know, you can take this thing too seriously. And so I do a lot of the times. I find myself taking this thing too seriously. Along the way, Arash came, and Arash was just he's the reflection, I would say, almost like the imaginary friend, right? This is my moniker. It's your imaginary friend. This is what I go by online. This is exactly what I present here. But he's more along the lines. I look at him as the character in the game that is presented as like the total embodiment of the things that I would like to have in my life. You know what I mean? Of like the skills and the communication that I would like to have. And I've never seen any, and I spend tens of thousands. Like, I've been very successful already with financially, you know what I mean? So it's like, mentors, spending money on mentors is nothing. Tens and tens of thousands of dollars in mentors. You have to. If you're in business, you have to. Otherwise, what the fuck? You know, anybody's got mentors, right? So you pay for them. I pay for them for everything, fitness, any aspect of my life. I pay for mentors, and I pay the most I can. But there's nobody. Arash is 10 times, is 100 times greater than any other mentor that I've ever taken. You know, it's an overflow of information already. So that's that's where he stepped in. He stepped in about the time that I decided to go out on my own and start my own business and go live this Bali lifestyle. And I went and saw him right before I went and saw and lived the Bali lifestyle. So I went and saw him before I ended up leaving to come over here. And we had a day together that was amazing, man. Like it was that was more than amazing. You know, my words, my communication is still working on it, but it was life changing. You know.
Yeah.
And you know, I say life changing, but it's also like, you know, if he's a character in my game, then it's just kind of like the process that
game changing.
Yeah, game changing. Exactly, it's a game changer, right? So that's kind of how I was just on YouTube, man, and I saw this dude with 5 girlfriends. It's kind of like the cheese on the cake, right? Or the cheese, the carrot. So I saw him, and you know, it kind of just started watching videos like whoa, 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 and then it just got deeper and deeper and deeper, and you know, ended up it's a no-brainer. It's a brain dead decision. You know, you came and reached out to me about messengers, and I was just like, yo, why haven't I spent $5,000 with this man yet? You know what I mean? That's all that I fucking thought. You know what I mean? Like, and then the position came to where it was, and I just said, here we go. Let's fucking rock.
That's really amazing too, because I mean, I had no idea of any of this story. I saw you on a live stream, and I just reached out to you, and you know, anybody that's in business and doing prospecting and things like that. I mean, I've reached out to hundreds of people, and it's surprising what the guys that end up doing the program. I wouldn't have necessarily guessed. I would, if you had put the list of 200 people ahead in front of me and said, which ones are going to do it? I had no idea Patrick Grabb was the guy that was just going to go for it and, you know, went right for it. And I also think that you've done, have you just done the one extension program, or did you come back as an alumni for a second one?
No, I've just done the one. Yeah,
Okay,
I've just done the one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. And so talk about that. Talk about what did it you know, it's an online, I mean, the nitty gritty of it is an online program. You show up, it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's like 4-hour lectures each night. So you get like 10, 12 hours of lectures. There's some Zoom lectures also, that kind of the group meetings where like all the alumni come, and you get these, you know, so you end up having like 10 or 12 hours of like the core content. And then I think you also get the live event recordings when you, I forget exactly what you have, but you know, there's some core content of 12 hours, and then there's like another 12 or 24 hours of like kind of group class setting that isn't such core content, but you know, it's a lot of refresher material and things like that. So you end up having this like 30 hours or so of just recorded material, and you know, you can ask questions and you interact with the guy. And so that's what you exchange 5K for. And that's from the external. That's like looking at it just like the hard facts or whatever. It's just this many hours and this is what it is. But like, what was it for you? Like, what is the Messengers extension program for you, Patrick Grabb?
Well, for me, it's you know, it's more intimate relationship with my mentor. That's what that's basically, it's more access to my mentor, and it's a higher tier of his teaching. So there's only so much you can get. Well, you can get amazing amount from his from the content level below that. But in my experience, the more money that you spend with a mentor, the more you're going to get, and that's what I wanted. So I get that. I know that that's always key. I know that that's, you know, anytime you do that, not only are you doing that, I mean, this is the first piece of it. Okay. So this is a two-part answer to your question. So I know that, first of all, it's more access to them. That's what I was looking for. It's more it's the deeper level of information with them. So that's 2. And then 3, it's amazing to be able to do that for myself, you know, like, to be able to take the money and spend it on myself. So this is number 1. It's actually about me, right? I like to take the money and I invest it into myself. It's much better than going to the strip club. It's better than going anywhere else. I never miss a chance to take a big fucking chunk of money and spend it on myself. It's amazing. Wow. And when you do that, it like, it puts you in a higher level thinking than other people. You can look at people like Brian Casella in the group. You know what I'm saying? This guy's, you know, I don't know, probably he's a high level financial dude, right? So you can already see, I saw him and I was like, you know, this is what we do. This is what people who are fucking in business, who are who are making moves. That's what they do. They invest in themselves. They're not acting stupid with their fucking money. You know what I mean? Like there's a thing that they're doing. Anyways, it levels up. As far as the actual learning experience, it's a communication thing. It irons out, for me, it has ironed out my core philosophy, being able to communicate with him, being able to be in messengers heads, ironed out my core philosophy, and has given me clarity about what I'm doing with this thing that I'm building, this life package, this I guess you could say coaching, that I'm doing, my own business. Yeah. It's ironed this out. It's made it much clearer and shown me exactly the steps that I need to go to next. And
how did you do that? Because it's completely what you're doing. I mean, outside of it's coaching people, like it's unrelated really to what the messengers was.
Yes.
So how did it clarify things for you?
Well, you know, as I do this thing, man, it's a problem that, like, one of my biggest fears in life is to be able to say what I need to say, man. You know, I constantly have these. I constantly fear getting kicked offline because this is how I make my money, how I make my bread and butter. On Facebook, I use Facebook advertising. This is like the core of what I do, man. It's my skill. My skill is Facebook advertising. This is like the basic skill I have. So, and it's the skill I've had for a decade that's allowed me, like, it was social media lead generation, you know?
Yeah.
And if you're somebody like me who has to say what the fuck you have to say, you know what I'm saying? I speak the truth. I speak the truth about men, about women, this is a big fucking no-no right now in the world. They don't want you doing this shit. You know, it's really easy to get kicked offline because of this. People are getting dropped all the time. You talk about, you know, the wrong thing. You have fucking humor about things. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get kicked off, and you have the kind of humor I have. I like talking about fat people. I like talking about fucking whoever, dumb bitches, feminists. I like talking about all these people, man. It's funny as fuck to me. It's hilarious. You know, and like, so trannies, you know, like, these are the things these are things that make me laugh. And so they're trying to take this stuff away from it. So going along this, like, the things that had held me back from expanding my business, how I want to expand it, it's just like, I'm like, if I can't say what I want, I don't even want to be a millionaire. You know, there's a lot of, like, even some of my mentors that I've paid a lot of money to, man, they like one of the world famous hypnotists, one of the biggest lessons he said was, don't cuss. You know, believe in a higher power. And what was the third thing? The third thing was, you know, don't be yourself. And I see so many of these people out here just not being themselves. And yeah, they're making fucking millions, tens of millions of dollars. But I look at them and I'm like, I never want to be like you. I would fucking kill myself.
Yeah.
If I had a $50 million, I couldn't fucking say what I wanted to. I'm being neutral. This is one of my other mentors, one of my other business mentors, business coaches. He's made $50 million. And this motherfucker, his core philosophy is be neutral. Be neutral. You're never going to go wrong if you just stay in the middle. And I see so many people stay in the middle. Fuck the middle.
Wow.
And so being in messengers for me was like, it's okay to pick your side and fucking go live that shit, you know, and be fearless doing that. And like, dude, ever since I've done it, I continue to see it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because you're going to live a fucking amazing life. You're going to live it. Maybe you don't have this. Maybe it's not with these people. Maybe it's not balling out of control with these people over here. But I get to be free. And that's the most fucking important thing to me, as long as I say what the fuck is on my mind. And so that's what he gave me. He gave me that fearless, and continues. It's a work in progress, right?
Sure.
But it was a jolt to let go and do what the fuck I need to do, say what I need to say.
Amen. That's great. Wow, that's powerful. Well, we're going to need to wrap it up because I have another appointment right after this, but that's super exciting. So anybody watching this, catching the recording, iTunes, YouTube, leave us a comment, leave us a review. If you're interested in a strong, masculine man who speaks his mind, who has a decade of experience of social media lead generation, Patrick Grabb is your man. Patrick, how can they find you?
Yourimaginaryfriend.com.
Yourimaginaryfriend.com. We'll have the link in the description. And I really appreciate you taking the time, Patrick. We'll have to do it again, of course. And
Absolutely.
to everyone that's tuning in, thanks. We love having the live audience. And I'll leave it to you. Any final words to you, Patrick?
No, I just got to say thank you for having me on, brother. It's amazing. Anybody that wants to level up your life, even if you don't have $5,000, there's other things. I mean, anything that you take from Arash is going to see. If it's $100, it's going to see. It's going to be like, it's going to shift the world for you. You know what I mean? The value he puts in just one little nugget is more than anything else out here by fucking goddamn miles. So you know what I mean? Like light years even. So make sure that you just go try something out. You know, even as free content's amazing. But the deeper you go, I just gave you the game. The deeper you go, the more you spend. It continues to level up. This is nothing new. This is nothing new for people that are leveling up their lives. It's just what we do. It's what the fuck we do. So
what we do.
Yeah. So get it.
Hell yeah.
I appreciate it, Yogi. I'll see you on the call we're gonna do too as well.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thanks everybody.
Have me on, man. Yeah. There you go. Have a good one.